Don't you think there are any issues in development capabilities or structural issues in operations that led to the cancellation of? That is a harsh question. Hello, welcome to the channel. Today, we've actually got some breaking news. Yes, breaking news on Football Manager 25. I know, you're not going to believe me. You're like, that got cancelled. Newsflash, if you weren't aware, it has been cancelled. But there's some investor developments. If you remember my video about why SEGA were keeping quiet about Football Manager 25, which is then in turn why Sports Interactive were being quiet, it's because they had the quarterly financial meetings in the start of February. Now, that's actually progressed. So what's happened since then, on the 25th of February, so that was last week, they took questions from the shareholders. Let me show you what's happened. So, quick recap. When they announced Football Manager was getting cancelled on the 6th of February, well, I say 6th of February because that's when they posted the statement. It was actually released GMT time at 2:30 on the 7th. So about 3.5 weeks away. Okay, I've also aged in this time. I've turned 40 since I last spoke to you. They obviously gave all the information out in Japanese. Now, I didn't speak Japanese, and I was hoping there'd be a presentation script to give us a bit more information, because there was in previous quarters. So, on the 5th of March, which is today of the time of recording, they actually released said script. So I'm going to run through quickly a few points on the said script, but I'm also going to show you how two-footed some of the shareholder questions go in as well, because they were bloody brutal on the way they've asked it. I don't know how many of you out there have been buying SEGA shares, but some people have been really too direct in asking them what they're planning on doing. So let's go into it now. So as per normal with SEGA, they announced a notice regarding the uploading of documents relating to Q3 for the financial results of 2025. And this is where I've got the information. It's on the SEGA website. So as you can see, they've produced Q3 major questions regarding financial results and results presentation with script. Okay, now this wasn't available until today. So let's quickly go into this library just to show you. And this will be there. If you want to read it, obviously read it yourselves. It is under this information here, which is the major questions. We're going to do the results in presentation script. Now, you may have remembered seeing this on my previous video. This is the documentation, but as I showed on the first video, this is an English translation of the executive vice president, Makoto Takahashi, who is executive officer for the corporate planning division. What they said, obviously in Japanese, which we couldn't translate, is what they're explaining the details by segment. So key points here, as we can see here. On the other hand, we have decided to cancel the development and sales of Football Manager 25, which was scheduled to be released in Q4. As a result, we have recorded a one-time expense of 4 billion yen in our Q3 results due to inventory write-downs and other factors. Now, that's what they said. When I tried to interpret what was going on, I said maybe they've lost up to 80 billion yen on forecasted sales. What 4 billion yen has been accounted for is the actual absorption of those costs to actually produce the game. So they called it an inventory write-down. So I tried to get an idea of what inventory write-downs were. In this context, is a reduction in value of assets related to the cancelled game. Since the game was in development but got cancelled, the company had already spent the money on things like development costs, as we're already aware. I already put a video out saying that they already expected them to have spent about £125 million on my video about will it actually bankrupt SI. I don't believe it will. Spoiler warning, but it's a video there showing the breakdown of how they've been doing it. So they've admitted in this year that SI are going to have to actually absorb £20 million worth of loss in their financial accounts. That is a big headline. That's why it is a big headline. Marketing expenses, because obviously we know about the adverts, manufacturing, licensing costs of the Premier League, women's football. And because the game's no longer going to be sold, they've had to absorb these costs because they can't be recovered. And the company writes them off as a loss in its financial statements, which is a one-time expense of the 4 billion yen, or when I've looked it up, it's around £20 million. So what does that actually mean? So this is obviously the 24 statement up until March 24. We've just been informed that SEGA are predicting a 20 million write-off. So this will be in here. So Imagine, as you will, turnover is not going to probably be around £72 million or growing because obviously FM25 hasn't been sold. So the turnover is going to be reduced, the cost of sales will be reduced, and the loss at the moment in 2024 was 2 million. That could be an extra 20 million against their accounts. That is a significant hit. The difference will be how much it actually is in turnover. Now, we obviously know about the video game tax relief, which is something I covered in a previous video, where they will have some money and they can recover some of that tax relief back. Even though they have cancelled the game, they will be entitled to claim most, wherever they have had accumulated expenses, they just might not be able to claim everything they would do back. I'm not a tax expert, but there is that potential for them to get some of the money back. So we may not see a massive loss in the financial year, but it will hit that bottom line figure of 2 million, which will be 10 times as much. It just depends how high the turnover is, what the cost of sales are, what the video game tax relief they're entitled to back will be. It will be a significant blow to their financial accounts, but we won't actually see their financial accounts till probably around November, December next year. They've applied the 4 billion yen, but SEGA haven't actually had that much of an impact on a lot of things because they're able to offset the impact of Manager 25's cancellation, resulting in better than expected in terms of profit. So even though the blow for the investors would be they've cancelled the release of Football Manager, SEGA is saying actually, because we performed better than expected, we're able to offset it. It's not that big a blow for us, which is quite surprising considering how much they've been. It's quite a surprise considering how much investment they were proposing to make into FM25 that actually they've been able to offset the better than expected results in terms of profit. So it hasn't been a bit as big a blow, which is surprising. The full game, 2 titles released in Q3 have sold well. Repeated sales remain strong. Recorded a loss associated with a cancellation. Forecasted to expect steady repeat sales. They're quite confident about that in the full game. So the area full game, they were talking to you about Sonic Shadow Generations and Meta 4 Refantasio. They've been doing really well. That's what they've been talking about there. So what did they say here? Here is about the cancellation. We have changed the development engine to Unity, starting with this title, aiming for a major evolution of its UI and graphics, added new elements such as the Premier League and women's football in order to significantly enhance the gameplay experience. However, we regret to inform you that we have decided to cancel the development due to difficulty in ensuring the expected product quality by the time of its scheduled release in March, which we sort of knew based on what Sports Interactive has said. Although Football Manager is cancelled, some of the development assets, which is obviously the Unity assets they've been building, plus the graphics and all that, will be taken over to FM20. When I said FM26, they're just saying over to the next title, and we will strive to develop and provide a higher quality title moving forward. So they are quite clearly backing up the fact of it was poor. Whatever went wrong wasn't great, but there are elements that they can carry forward into the next title. So it can't all have been bad. It's just they're going to move some of the assets onto 26 and concentrate there. Okay, so that was basically what the translation was in Japan. Now, that happened on around the 6th of Feb, 7th of Feb. So fast forward, like I said, to last week, where we had the shareholder meeting. So this is the financial results for the Q3 fiscal year ending. Major questions in the results briefing for analysts and institutional investors summary. So for consumer, why did you revise the sales downward and operating income upwards? Sales is expected to be lower than initially expected due to the cancellation of sales of the new title, full game. And this is obviously the translation, Football Manager 25, and the fact that new titles of F2P have not been launched. On the other hand, Sonic Legends, Sonic Generations, and Metaphor have launched in Q3 are performing better than expected, and repeat sales of full games and downloadable content sales and licensing income centered around Sonic contributed to earnings. In addition, there was a positive effect on earnings due to the yen's depreciation. As a result, the operating income was revised upwards from the initial forecast. So what they're saying there is, yeah, it didn't look sales would be down, but because of the foreign exchange and better than expected performance in other areas, they've actually absorbed Football Manager 25's impact. So actually, it's not the end of the world for Sega and the relationship between Sports Interactive. It's not great, but Sega are going, well, actually, we're doing a lot better than we were expected. So what made the decision to cancel the development of Football Manager 25 so quickly? And it says, we've been reviewing our development process and improving transparency through structural reforms in Europe implemented in the last financial year. And this decision was also reached after sound discussions between management and the studio based on it. Of course, we will reflect on the result we reached, the cancellation of development, this time learn from it and leverage it to the development of the next title. So they're saying quite clearly there, look, we messed up. We're going to try and learn from our mistakes and move forward, which is what I think a lot of people would want. Don't you think there are any issues in development capabilities or structural issues in operations that led to the cancellation of? That is a harsh question. Bloody hell. Someone's gunning for them there. And it says, we aimed for the largest ever renewal of the UI and graphics in the game in order to improve quality of the series in the future. But it turned out it would take more time than expected to reach the quality we targeted. So we decided to discontinue its development. The decision was made after close discussions between management and the studio, and we believe we reached the best solution at this point. Therefore, we do not think there are any structural problems. They are back in Sports Interactive massively with that statement. We will focus on the development of the next title from now on. So they've drawn a line to it. We are not worried about the structural issues, anything like that with Sports Interactive. Sega are backing them. Following the cancellation of Football Manager 25, I'm wondering, did Zealand have shares? Following the cancellation, how do you plan to maintain engagement with users and carry this over in the next installment? First of all, we would like to enhance the dialogue with the user community and then create an environment where they can look forward to our next title. In addition to continuing to sell Football Manager 24, we are also looking into ways to enable players to continue playing it through a subscription service, which is obviously PlayStation Plus, Game Pass, mobile, touch, all those other things. Now, that's quite key because actually, in the last couple of days, Sports Interactive have actually got 8. This is the most they've had for a long time. 8 positions open. So they are really rebuilding at the moment in time. They've got people coordinator, they've got software engineers, they've got games designers. But here's the interesting one from the other day. Marketing and PR have just come out. Creative lead, okay? And the creative lead is looking to join the marketing, who will be primarily responsible for shaping the creative identity of our brand and marketing output. This role is at the heart of our brand and content projects. So basically, what they're trying to now do is obviously that creative, the role will suit the visual storyteller with meaningful experience on working on brand and content campaigns with a focus on creative concept development, post-production and execution. So they are looking at how they're doing it. You'll be reporting, I can see this by Yernock, reporting to the head of branding. The creative lead will take ownership of high-impact creative projects while collaborating with a talented team to execute projects across a diverse mediums. So that's all your social medias, that's your YouTube, I'm assuming that's TV, everything like that. So they are looking now at, what can we do to engage for engagement purposes? They're looking to recreate. The copywriter is a fixed term contract as well. And they are looking at, again, working closely with content and community teams with a focus on crafting engaging copy for both the Football Manager brand and wider studio across all facets of marketing and comms. As a core driver of the studio's written output, you will play a pivotal role in elevating the brand and its products through compelling and creative storytelling. You will play a key role in shaping the communication across a wide spectrum of deliverables, from persuasive copy and calls to actions for our advertising campaigns to articulating exciting new product features with clarity and impact. This role perfectly suits a creative, passionate writer who will have a meaningful impact on how the Football Manager brand develops, driving engagement in new audiences and alongside its long-established and growing community. So it is there. They are talking about engaging. They are talking about communities. It is, this is linking into what they've already said, as we were saying on the Sega Sammy by here. They are talking about enhancing dialogue. That is what's going on here. They're looking to create better dialogue with the community through 2 new roles. That is there, and I've seen that in the last couple of days coming out. This is obviously the investor side of things. Please tell us the amount of loss recorded as a write-down of inventories due to the cancellation. In Q3, we have recorded a one-time expense, as they said, of 4 billion yen, mainly due to the write-down of development assets. So they've written them off. So that's like we said before. So that's fine. Why has the work in progress balance of the content production expenses and balance sheet increased from Q2 to Q3, although new titles have been launched? Are there still development expenses left for Football Manager 25? Now, they say in this, and this is an accounting term, so amortization is like in a football contract, Chelsea, for example, recently, you give a contract for 4 years, and that's how you depreciate the cost of the contract or the cost of the transfer over 4 years in accounting principle. This is why all the PSR and stuff like that's coming on. So what they've said then is actually the development costs are actually depreciated over 2 years. So what they do every single month, they depreciate it accordingly for the 75%, roughly, if I'm doing my maths right, 25% in the first month, and then 75% over 23 months, which will roughly work out about 3% of that. 3% cost every single month for 2 years. But because not all the development costs are going to be written off as expenses, they can use them for the next title. Again, they haven't said what the next title is going to be, but that's what they're going to use as they remain inventory assets. So it's not all being written off. They've said they've spent they're going to make 4 billion yen written off, but not all of that. So, there's a writing off 20 billion pounds worth of assets, but actually there's much more that they're going to carry forward. What does this actually mean? Well, I think, as you can see, I've tried to cover this in as much detail to give you an update. Basically, SEGA are back in Sports Interactive. They're not overly concerned because they've had better than expected profits. So, they are obviously concerned, but you know what I mean. They would have had even better profits if Football Manager 25 hadn't been cancelled. But I suppose the reputational risk of Sports Interactive and SEGA at this new launch would have been too high for their risk appetite, and they don't want to produce a really poor quality product, and that's where they've taken a stance. They are talking about engaging the community again, which is great, but considering we haven't had any correspondence of anyone, we don't even know. For example, we're now in March. We were told this is where the licenses were going to get extended to. However, we haven't had any further correspondence. So I'm expecting some more engagement and some more correspondence from Sports Interactive in the coming month to let people know they are obviously trying to keep the licensing going for FM24 to the next title. So I would say at the moment in time, we're probably going to have the FM24 on all your subscription services until probably September, October, or whenever they release the next title. That's the positives to take off out from it. The negatives, Sports Interactive are going to have to find £20 million loss. They're going to have to stomach a £20 million loss. Is that going to bankrupt them? Possibly not. It's going to hit them harder. But SEGA have quite clearly said they are not worried about the structural integrity of Sports Interactive. They do not believe it is a studio that needs to be restructured, for example. I don't think that sounds to me like they're backing Miles and the team. And if they're doing that, then that's a good thing, because if you can imagine, for everyone calling for Miles' head, you're going to the new title coming up, and you're calling for Miles' head for the next title, and you have to recruit. That'd be even more chaotic. Anyway, I'm digressing. Hopefully you found this interesting. I'll put the links in the description. If you like this, obviously, please drop us a like and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching. Why not check out a couple of videos? I will be upping my content creation in the coming weeks because I'm literally sitting, believe it or not, governance and ethics exams at this moment in time. I just wanted to put a quick video out there because I'm actually going to be doing it next week. Hopefully I pass, and then we are going to ramp up the console content. But I do appreciate, everyone that's subscribed and wants to watch more console content. I'm hoping to get that out in the coming. Until next time, take care. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.